One. Oh, came up a little faster. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday evening at 7 o'clock. Time for another edition of the Connoisseurs of Wrestling. I'm your host and sommelier, TakersMinion. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely partner, Legends Lover, the curator of everything that's history for connoisseurs. Good evening.
Hey, everybody.
Also,
Hope everybody's doing good tonight.
I believe they are. Let's hope they are. I'm also joined by the newest co-host, of course, Mr. George Savis from the great city of Chicago. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I hope your weekend was good.
I worked.
I'm sorry.
Had a great show. Had a great show on Saturday morning, though.
Very nice. I'm glad to hear. All your Saturday morning shows are great shows, though.
Well,
you're gonna have to be more specific in the future.
We try to have great shows. So, anything interesting in the wrestling world that trips your trigger
hope we have
before
a good
we get
one tonight.
started? Well, one thing, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. I believe it was Sunday afternoon at about 4:30 Pacific time. One Senator John McCain passed away from brain cancer. Our thoughts and prayers from the Connoisseurs family to yours, Mr. McCain. You will be missed. A true American hero and a great politician, to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, anyway.
There were some problems there too, but we won't get into that. We don't do politics on this
Nope.
show.
No, we don't. I'm just saying that,
One thing is I like to say is, Biff, we miss you. Get better soon. Get back on the show.
Yep, he needs to get back on the show. It's not the same without you, buddy. All right. We're here talking about an era of wrestling that is not very popular. An era where women's wrestling was looked at as an afterthought. The women were looked at as eye candy, not looked at for their in-ring skills and abilities. We're going back to the middle part, I would say, middle third, or near the end of the middle third of the Divas. But we're not talking about any of the, model-looking women that were in the Divas division back then. We're looking at two that formed a tag team that lasted about 6 months, but during their 6 months' time, they basically destroyed every other team within the division, either singly or as a tag team. We're talking about the Divas of Doom, which was Beth Phoenix and Natalya Neidhart.
Powerhouse team.
They were a powerhouse. And it was not...
Definitely unique in this era of the WWE.
Yes. And they were not big guy, little guy, or big girl, little girl. They were big girl, medium-sized girl.
They were hosses.
Both of them are hosses.
They were hosses.
And
they were actual women. They were not Barbie dolls. They were actual women.
So if you technically want to look at it, the women's revolution, so to speak, started in 2011 with these two. Even though it didn't take. That's my personal opinion. George, what do you remember of them?
It was the first time anybody watching the WWE was exposed to legitimate women's wrestlers who were in the company and presented as wrestlers, not as divas. Now, I'm not going to say it was the first time in America, because the knockouts in TNA were doing yeoman's work for years and years before this. Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, But it was the first time a wide-reaching mainstream audience had seen women's wrestlers who could be wrestlers, you know, as opposed to just, oh, it's the Divas time, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, it's the bathroom break.
Yeah, you had to. You talk all the time about not being able. You talk all the time about not being able to take your eyes off of certain performers. You know, they're captivating. And when these two came out and just wrecked house, you couldn't take your eyes off them. Especially because they were so different from everyone else on the roster.
And then also we talk about how faces get pops, heels, back and forth. This was also a team. 2 individuals that could be the best faces there was and then the best heels. They could play either or very, very well.
Yeah, exactly. Because the talent itself isn't contingent on what side of the fence you're on. There are certain wrestlers, many wrestlers, who are better at being baby faces than heels or vice versa. But it takes special talent to be good at either.
And you know, you said something very early on when I was talking about the team, and you said 2 hosses.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Natalia is Natalia now, she's still a hoss.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't let her be. That's the sad thing about it. I am almost positive that she, you know, everybody says she's boring. Well, the thing about it is she comes from the Heart Dungeon.
She's a wrestler.
She's a wrestler.
A mat wrestler, a technical wrestler.
Yeah. She's a technical mat wrestler that could destroy you at any moment she chooses to.
That's right. She's not one of these flamboyant, flashy like they got now. You got the ones that like to fly. They're all flash. Mm-hmm. And she's not.
She's not a flyer.
But there's another thing that there is a first I can say about part of this group with Beth Phoenix. If you look back in Beth's history, Beth is the first woman in high school to go for amateur wrestling. It's always boys in amateur wrestling in high school. She was the first woman to actually go into amateur wrestling in high school and go on to be a professional wrestler. She's wanted it since high school, and she worked for it. So she does got the amateur wrestling background. That's where she started. Her words are, if you want to be in wrestling, she goes, you got to learn how to be the amateur wrestler to build up.
One of the you need some sort of athletic background, I feel, in order to succeed as a professional wrestler. I mean, you name any wrestler of the past 60 years, right, male or female. The only one I can think of off the top of my head with zero athletic background in high school or college, none of any kind, is CM Punk.
Yeah.
Everyone else I can think of wrestled or did MMA or judo or taekwondo or some sort of martial arts, or they played football, or they played baseball, or they did track, or they did something athletic.
Yep. Or they played volleyball.
Or swam or something athletic, because shoot sports gives you it's the easiest way to get in shape and stay in shape, and B, it gives you a special kind of determination that's needed to get through wrestling training, which is hell on earth.
Yeah, with her, not only was she wrestling in school, she played tennis and she was a track star.
Yeah, see?
So she
Bingo.
She loved her sports.
And that's not unusual. Like I said, the only wrestler I could think of who didn't do none of that was CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's more, but I'm talking big-time main eventers. Everyone else you could think of, name a guy or lady, they did something. And I'm talking from the 50s on, if not earlier. You know?
Well, hell, look at Vern, amateur wrestler,
and football.
And football. Look at Dick the Bruiser, football.
Look at
Ric Flair played football. Jim Neidhart was a state-level track athlete, shot putter, and football. Like, I mean, even John Cena played football. Randy Orton. played basketball. Triple H played basketball. Like
Big Show played basketball.
Big Show played even in Japan. All those guys played football, and a lot of them ran track. Like, or not football, baseball. Excuse me. And a lot of them ran track. Like in England, they all played soccer. In Canada, they all played hockey. Like Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. Like it's you need some sort of background in a sport in order to be successful professional wrestling. And I don't think that's a particularly controversial statement. You know what I mean?
No. And the thing is like everybody talks about China, where China would wrestle men. When Beth started her career, she was wrestling men and women, but she started out wrestling men because that's what you had at that time.
That's absolutely.
So that helps build up her body strength and everything too. I still believe that's one of the reasons you look at it for the Royal Rumble. Only 2 women have ever been in the men's Royal Rumble. China and Beth Phoenix.
And both of them belonged at the time.
Because they got the power and they could do it.
I got to say, Beth Phoenix being in this Royal Rumble, there's one more run left in her.
Oh yeah.
There's one more run. I mean, I know she's happily retired, and God bless. You know, I'm never going to tell anyone they got to take bumps, but she acquitted herself more than well enough in January.
More than adequate.
More than adequate.
Yeah. Well, she when she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, she was 36.
Yeah. That's not even middle-aged for a wrestler.
And she is the youngest ever inductee.
To be inducted. And she is the earliest from the time she retired to get inducted. She is the
earliest woman, yes.
Not just woman, even out of the guys. She is the earliest period.
She retired in 2012 and was inducted 5 years later. Edge, I think, was inducted the following year after he retired, if I'm not mistaken, her husband.
But you also look at the damages that happened with Beth. I mean, the girl had a broken jaw. Ended up with a broken jaw. I mean, she had her leg torn ACL. She had a lot of damage done in the beginning of her career. The broken jaw was near the beginning. And she came back from that. So, I mean, that girl went through a lot, and she proved a lot.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think and she had that sort of physical charisma we talk about that big wrestlers and little wrestlers too, but mostly big wrestlers with a presence. Every wrestling fan, guys and ladies, no matter what they say about how much they love the flippy do shit and they love the work rate and they love all that, there's still a part of them that is in awe of giant men and giant women in the ring throwing people around.
Yep.
With
how big she was.
Absolutely.
She also had the look.
She certainly did.
She had the look. She is gorgeous. But when she could swing people around and do what she did, she was beautiful.
And if you put Natty and her side by side,
I swear they were sisters.
Yeah. You would swear they were sisters. They have such similar look. Similar facial features, everything.
Well, you listen to Natty. In the beginning, Vince wanted her to dye her hair because they looked too much alike. Natty came back out as supposed to be brunette, but it was more red. She had to dye her hair because her and Beth looked too much alike.
And Natty did not like having her hair dyed.
It didn't look right. It did not look right on her. But then in the beginning, that's what she had to do. But then when those two wrestled against each other, it was beautiful, no matter who won, because they knew how to work together. They were good. They had the chemistry.
Yeah, they really played well off each other.
As a tag team and as singles when they faced one another.
Yeah.
They were a pair that the thing I can look at it the two I can compare them to today with today's women's roster is Sasha Bailey. You can see they work so well together, those two, as a tag team, and as competitors against one another. I mean, NXT Brooklyn 1 will tell you that. If you look at that match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. You got to look at NXT to really see it. The two of them.
It's a totally different era, though, too. But they're Haas fights. Natty can still do them, and she's now what? She's 36 now.
Okay.
So her and Beth are the same age.
Sounds about right. They came up around the same time.
Yep.
Give or take.
Give or take a year, yeah. Well, no. Excuse me. Beth is 38 and Natalia's 36.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's so many things about these two that can be said. It's amazing. They were one of the best tag teams of the era. They were the cream of the crop of the era because no one could touch them.
I didn't notice that. Beth's birthday's the day after mine.
Hey, that's fun.
Nope, I saw that.
Just 16 years later.
It's like you found these two by accident, didn't you?
I always did like Natalia, but the thing is I've always been a mark for the Hart Foundation, the way they wrestle, because to me, I don't really care for the high fly. I like technical wrestling, a match that looks like wrestling. And when I heard Natty was in there, I started watching her because of the name, and I seen that she was trained the same way. And then I heard about Beth. So I checked out on Beth. And they're the kind of wrestlers that I would like to see today. Actual wrestling.
Yeah. So now let's break these guys down separately, shall we?
Please.
Who you want to start with, George? You want to start with Natty or you want to start with Beth?
Let's start with Natty.
Okay. Natalia Catherine Neidhart, daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and mother Elizabeth Hart. Born May 27th, 1982, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Currently lives in Tampa, Florida. Go figure.
Go figure.
Well, you figure her and her husband, even though Natty's still on the circuit, they do training down in Florida.
It's almost a, go ahead.
They do help out at the development center.
You know, it's almost a given she's going to be a trainer at the Performance Center when she retires from in-ring.
Absolutely.
Especially if she's the one, because they say training partner with Rhonda. Natty is the trainer of Rhonda. And Natty is doing a great job with Rhonda.
Rhonda's pretty awesome.
You look at I said this on Saturday. You look at her match at WrestleMania, and you look at her match at SummerSlam, and she's improved 100%.
Absolutely. Because she's naturally talented.
Yeah,
like she has that strong base.
Yep, that's the key. Judo.
Yep, absolutely. Athletic background. We just talked about it.
Excuse me. So, I mean, Natty, the only woman to go through the Hart Dungeon and survive. Working with her uncles Ross and Bruce. So, Worked the Independence from 2000 2007, and her first professional in-ring experience was with Eric Bischoff, of all people, in a promotion called Matt Rats.
Matt Rats, huh?
Yep.
Cannot say I've heard of Matt Rats.
Have you?
I have not. No.
I have not either.
I cannot say that I have, my friend. No chance.
She worked there for a year as a host and ring announcer. So that's interesting. And then she started working for Stampede. There again, Stampede Wrestling, owned by her father, or I should say her grandfather, in 2003. And her first feud with a woman called Belle Lovitz. Never heard of her.
Never.
Yeah, they had some. She did intergender matches, or mixed tags with her father against Lovitz and Apocalypse, and then Natty and Lovitz formed a tag team, and they wrestled intergender matches against the Myers brothers. Okay.
Cool.
Interesting. But it's she's had several different names during her career, but we all know her from when she finally became WWE, which was in 2007. She signed a contract and went first developmental territory she went to was Deep South Wrestling.
Okay.
Which I believe was a Jim Cornette deal?
Possibly. Maybe he was affiliated out of Louisville.
Yeah.
Possibly. I know he was with OVW. I don't know about Deep South. Maybe both. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know much about Deep South Wrestling. Do you?
I do not know. I'm sorry. I mean, I know Mid South, but that's way back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Like I do.
Yeah, that's in the 80s, and that's in like the 70s. But and 80s,
that's a show for Biff because he's a mid-size. He's a Crockett Mark.
Nice.
Big time.
I'll pick his brain later.
You'll be talking to him on a hangout in the back for hours. I've done it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Just leave the mics on and we'll just run our mouths.
Next thing you know, we'll be looking up, Jesus Christ, it's midnight.
Yeah. My question for you is Natty spent 6 years working the indies, right?
7.
7 years. And then she went to WWE, Deep South, and then she pretty much went to SmackDown right away.
She went to Deep South, was transferred briefly to Florida, Florida Championship when it first opened, and then moved to OVW.
Okay.
She went to OVW July of 2007. She signed her contract on the 5th of January. So in just over 6 months, she was up to the main, like AAA. OVW was AAA.
Yeah.
So she moved through quick. But that I think it goes back to her
her background and her base
and her training
and her strength as an in-ring technician.
Mm-hmm. One would agree with that.
That's
and on April 4th, she made her main roster debut on SmackDown. You were correct. With forming an alliance with Victoria. So, debuted as a heel because she came through the crowd. Go figure. Yeah. So. Then she had matches, or she accompanied Victoria with her match against Michelle McCool.
Okay. And
then made her debut defeating Cherry. I don't even know who she was. Do you have any? That was one of her. That was
Cherry was with. Was she the roller skate girl with Deuce and Domino?
That's possible. I have to check that out. I think it was.
Pretty sure, yeah. She was so Deuce and Domino were a tag team on SmackDown in like 06, 07.
Now, wait a minute. Wasn't Deuce one of from the Anawai family, if I'm not mistaken?
Maybe. I don't remember. They were not very talented, whomever they are.
Yeah, I know.
So their whole gimmick was that they were like 50s greasers.
Yeah.
Like blue jeans and wife beaters and leather jackets. Like something out of like The Outsiders. And Cherry was the sister of one and the boyfriend or girlfriend of the other. And she came out on like roller skates, like old school inline, like old school, not even inline roller skates, like the old school ones.
Old school quads.
Yeah, with the little break in the front. You know what I mean? She came out on those and they didn't go very far. So that's Cherry, yeah. That's Cherry, and I'm kind of shocked I know that.
Well, hey, at least someone did.
Yeah.
At least someone here did. And
it looks like now that we're talking about it, one of them is a Snuka.
That's right. Deuce was a Snuka.
Jimmy Snuka's son was one of them.
Deuce.
And the other one was some guy named Cliff Compton who, holy shit, is he fat now? He's a big boy. Cliff's a big boy nowadays.
Wow.
You know,
yeah,
at least he was in 2012.
I think Deuce was Snuka's son.
Yeah, Deuce was Snuka's son, and Domino was this other guy who was not Snuka's son, who now is much larger than his WWE days.
And retired.
So Cherry was their manager / valet. I first started becoming impressed with Natty when she was with the Hart Foundation. The new Hart Foundation, not the original one. The Hart Dynasty, excuse me. The Hart Dynasty. Tyson Kidd, her then boyfriend / husband. I don't know if they were married. Doesn't really matter. Tyson Kidd, her husband, and Davey Boy Smith, the junior, the son of the late British Bulldog who we talked about last week.
David Hartsmith, they called him. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was his shoot. I think that was his name, but I think it's Davey Boy Smith Jr. is what he's known by now. You know?
Yeah.
But
over there, New Japan, right?
That was fun. Yeah, he's in New Japan. He's in Killer Elite Squad, another Haas tag team. But the Hart Dynasty was big guy, little guy team, just like the original Hart Foundation, and I love the similarity. But Natty gave them an element of legitimacy because here you had this woman wrestler who could kick ass and take names, and she was allied with these two guys, so therefore they must be pretty important too. I always thought that was kind of cool.
Well, you know what got the Hart Foundation? You got the original Hart Foundation over, don't you? At first, not because you were a big guy, little guy. That was part of it, but Jimmy Hart.
Yep, same concept.
So yeah,
same concept.
They used a similar concept, and it worked.
I mean, one of the themes of this show is that the past is the present, right?
Exactly.
So it really, I thought they did good work. I don't. When did DHS David Hart leave WWE? It looks like he left WWE in like 2011-ish, and then he went to, it looks like 2011, but he really didn't do anything after 2010, I would say. So, but I liked them a lot as a team because A, they were technically sound, B, they were versatile, and C, they had a manager who knew what she was doing. And that's half the battle.
Okay, let's see here. Well, I know the Hart Dynasty lasted from 2009 to 2010, and the dynasty fell apart in, let's see, November that year.
Yeah, so it was not long, maybe 2 years. But I thought that, the most important thing they did was A, they got Tyson Kidd over, so that way when we got Kidd and Cesaro after Kidd's NXT run, it worked. And B, it got Natty Neidhart over. And it really takes something special for a manager to get over in an act.
Right. But that is Natty. She was able, to get over as a manager. And this is, a manager has to have one thing, has to be able to do one thing. And what's that, George?
Talk.
And
Cheat.
she can talk.
Cheat.
Talk and cheat. And she could do both.
Yep.
And people today say her promo ability sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, she's not giving anything. She could do a bullet point. She could do I'm saying it again, and George will agree with me. Give her bullet points.
The whole promo delivery system is so broken in this company that it is unfair to evaluate anybody on their promos ability based on what we're hearing on Raw and SmackDown. It's not. It takes a special talent to get over, in spite of what these writers are giving them.
Well, George, I was at a live show here, almost 2 years ago now, and Miz cut a promo before his match that we tried to drown him out on because we just didn't want to hear him talking anymore.
A perfectly valid response.
Yes. You thought Roman got booed bad. You should have heard the 4,500 people that were in this arena that I was at. We made that crowd look bad because we actually did drown out Miz.
That good heat.
Bray Wyatt cut a promo that was nothing like he'd said at all on television, and so did John Cena for that matter. House show promos are completely different,
and because house shows aren't canon. That's why.
And they're better.
House shows are WWE house shows are awesome. They're so much fun to go to. They're like 3 hours. The talent's having a blast. The matches are good. Everyone's having a good time. It's there's so much better going to a house show than going to Raw.
I think I had 8 matches in 3 hours with a 15-minute intermission.
Yeah,
after
an intermission.
Minutes.
Yeah, and the matches were all fun and good. I've been to several house shows, and I've always had a good time. I've had more fun at house shows than I've had at Raw and SmackDown almost every time.
Well, if you remember right, like we said before, in the past, the good promos, the old ones, like you got the Four Horsemen and the ones like them, their promos, it was basically given bullet points. And then they worked with the bullet points and they came up with great promos.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they need to do again. Because if you say they can't talk, they're saying people can't talk. Well, you don't give them anything to talk with. Give them a few bullet points. They could come up with great promos on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not fair to the talents that they're being scripted into the ground. But this is a company booked for one person, an audience of one. And we've talked about that. Yeah. Vince thinks he's making movies. Vince's pathology of being embarrassed that he's a professional wrestling promoter, despite professional wrestling making him hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, is like the stuff a psychiatrist can write a dissertation on.
Well, that's sad, because you think about that when he wrestled himself. He would get into wrestling. Yeah.
But the fact that he's always thought that he's better, quote unquote, better than a wrestling promoter, as if that's an embarrassment, But it's utterly
he's still a wrestling promoter, and he always will be known as a wrestling promoter.
And that's totally fine. And I'm not denigrating him. He's it's very good at making money. But the fact that he is embarrassed by it is kind of sad.
Well, we all are saying we can't wait till Trips takes over. I mean, I see when it does happen, I see a big change happening. WWE is going to become more about the wrestling and less about the talking.
We'll see.
Because
maybe, Triple H cut a lot of promos in his day, so we'll see.
Yeah, the difference is that his were bullet point promos. You could tell. There's a big difference.
True.
Okay.
If Natty was able to do what she does best, she would soar above a lot of the women in the division.
The depressing thing is I think her opportunity to be a main eventer has come and gone, and it's not her fault.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, like
She kind of got caught in the in between era. I call it the in between.
The transition.
Yep. They
Like
got lost in
Taker-
the shuffle.
like Taker says, she's a great carpenter. She knows how to get other people over. She works with the other women, and she knows how to get somebody over. And she's good at it.
Yes, she is. She is very good at it. She knows how to make people look good. She could teach classes on how to make someone look good in the ring, whether she defeats them or she loses to them. Natty has that knack. And, you know, I was one of the few when Natalya got the SmackDown Women's Championship. I was one of the few that actually applauded WWE for it.
For giving it to her.
She deserved it. She earned it. She deserved it.
But I wish, at the time, from what I see, is her as a heel now, in this day and age, and as a face, she does better wrestling as a face than she does as a heel. In the time when you had the Divas of Doom, when she was a heel then, she wrestled great. But as a heel now, like when she was in SmackDown, her wrestling wasn't that good. Because that's what they scripted her.
What is your favorite Natty match? Because I have one. I have a fun one.
Wow.
You want mine? While you think? I know I put you on the spot.
Sure. Go ahead.
This was SmackDown, I want to say February 2017, and it was Natty Neidhart versus versus Nikki Bella in like a backstage brawl, and they're brawling in the concession area, you know, and they're brawling, they're throwing T-shirts at each other in the merch stand, and I swear, Taker, you close your eyes, you feel like you're back in Memphis. In fact, this match, I remember this was February of 2017, because during this brawl, they brawled backstage, and Nikki Bella inadvertently hit Maurice with some makeup powder.
Yes, I saw that.
That's what started the Maurice and Miz versus Nikki and John Cena feud that culminated at that WrestleMania in 2017. So it was that. So I want to say February, maybe March, on a SmackDown there, and they're brawling and they're going at it. And I swear to you both, it was like watching Memphis 1983. All you needed was Jerry Lawler pulling the straps down. You know what I'm saying? And Masafuchi as the evil Japanese heel foreigner. You know, like it was the best. And it was a side of Natty. It was a side of Natty I hadn't seen before, and her versatility really shone. And Nikki was excellent too. But Nikki's made for brawls where she could just stiff the shit out of people. That's her bread and butter. But it was
Nikki is stiff. But the thing about it is, could you imagine if, let's say, we had a hoss fight like that between Nikki and Natalya now, where they were, you know, let's say put them in a cage and let them go, they would be stiffing the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great. But the thing about Natty that I love is that you want to have a technical match with Charlotte in NXT? Sure, great. You want to have a brawl with Nikki Bella on SmackDown? Sure, great. You want her to manage your team? Sure, great. You want her to cut promos on people for someone else? Sure, great. You want her to help Ronda Rousey get awesome? Sure, great. Like, she's a Swiss Army knife. She's a Swiss Army knife.
She's versatile.
I'm going to say this, George, and you're gonna probably agree with me. Natalya Neidhart is a 5-tool player.
Yep. You know what she is? In the strictest sense of the word, she is a professional wrestler.
Yes.
She's not, and it is a fitting legacy of her family that she is carrying down that legacy of being a professional and helping others and making others look good.
Exactly.
She's very, very good at that.
She's been good. She's been like that her entire career.
Yep.
You know, and people say she's been here so long. Ladies and gentlemen, she's only been in the WWE for 11 years.
That's it.
And she's accomplished so much in 11 years. She has made so many performers look good. I mean, hell, she defeated Naomi for the title, if I'm not mistaken, when she won the title. Was that Naomi she defeated?
I believe so.
Let me see. Let me see.
Yeah, I think so.
Do.
Me, I got 2 favorite matches with Natalia.
Here we go. It was February 21st, 2017. Falls Count Anywhere. Natalya and Nikki Bella on SmackDown.
That's right.
So it's on the network, and it is a lot of fun.
Okay. And she won the championship at SummerSlam, August 20th of, I want to say 2017. I do believe. Yeah. And then she lost it on November 14th on SmackDown. She lost the title to Charlotte by submission. She had an 86-day reign as the SmackDown Women's Champion. And I applauded WWE for her, for giving this title to her for all she's done and all the years she's been there. Okay, she has done a lot for the company. She's always was the quintessential company woman. You know, will do the job when asked, whether she really wants to or not, or she really thinks the person is deserving of it or not. But here again, 5-tool player. You know, she understands the business. She still loves the business. Probably will till the day she dies. It's so ingrained in her. But great performer, great manager, great teacher, great everything. Natty's great.
Great. I mean, her time as a main eventer is probably come and gone, unfortunately, due to circumstances that are not under her control.
Right.
But that doesn't mean she can't impress upon the next generation and the current generation. I'm making her sound like she's 50. Impress upon the current generation the importance of being a professional in a business that is at times unprofessional, but that doesn't mean you conduct yourself anything less than a sense of professionalism.
Exactly. I mean, let's have a little segue here. Let's look at the roster, the current roster today, men and women. Can you name all of the ones on the roster that are professionals when it comes to this business?
Professionals, let me think.
Natty is one of them. We figured that out. Roman Reigns is another one.
I'm gonna say Roman, AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, professionals. Finn. Striking out, my friend. Let me think.
Okay, I got another one. Big Show.
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi
Kingston. I would put their Big Show, although he's kind of retired, but sure, we'll say Big Show.
Yeah, because you know what? 1 week he's heel, 1 week he's face. He's always done whatever the company's asked him to do.
Let me pull the roster up real quick. List of WWE personnel. Let's see. Raw. I'm gonna scroll. I'm just scrolling down. Let's see. Big Show we did. Professionals.
Undertaker was a professional.
Undertaker, obviously. I'm gonna say Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Finn. Goldust, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh man, Roman we talked about. Titus O'Neil is a is a stand-up man in a business sorely lacking them. You know,
Yep. Yes, he is. I would call him a professional because he does what's required.
Yep. And I'm striking out. You know, SmackDown. Oh, let's look at the women. I'm sorry. Women professionals on the roster on the Raw side: Ember Moon, Mickie James, Natty Neidhart.
That's three right there.
Yeah. Not going to say Sasha Banks because Little Miss Pouty Face doesn't count. You know?
Bailey,
yes. Yep, Bailey for sure. So.
There's what? 8,
4
10?
On the women's side, 5, 6. 10 in total on Raw. 10. Yeah. You know? SmackDown, you ready?
Sure.
AJ we talked about.
Right.
I'll say all 3 of the New Day.
Yeah.
Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yes.
The Usos.
Very much so.
Kane, although he's kind of part-time at this point.
Who's that?
Kane.
Yes.
The Miz, as much as people dislike him, which I'm not sure why.
He's your boy, I know.
hey, I like heels. R-Truth, 100%.
Yep.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, so far everybody on the SmackDown roster, if you look at it, is professional.
Absolutely. And on the women's SmackDown side, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Naomi, and
there's one name. There's one name on the men's side that you actually, one name you forgot on the men's side.
Who?
Rusev Budria. Rusev Machka.
Yeah, Rusev puts up with a lot of BS.
Yes, so, he does.
You're right. You're right. You're right. So, and you know,
and for that matter, Aiden English by association.
By association. So yeah, there are not a lot of them I would call professionals in the strictest sense of the word, you know.
But yeah, we had there were, if you look at the dynamics of the rosters, where's most of the professionals at on SmackDown?
Yep. There's a great. I got a quote for you too. You ready? And then I think we can transition to Beth Phoenix. This is from David Halberstam, who was a journalist, longtime author. Being a professional is doing the things you love on the days you don't feel like doing them.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty indicative. I think that's a really great quote.
Imagine for 1 second, George, the 3 of us are all professional wrestlers. You and I have a match.
Sure.
Okay. LL's my valet.
Sure.
Right? Her job is to interfere in such a way to cause you to lose. And you're on a hot streak. You haven't lost in what? 5 weeks, let's say.
Sure.
You haven't lost a match in 5 weeks. Your feeling is, why kill my momentum now?
Okay.
You know, that would be your argument. Why kill my momentum now with a cheap heat win for the heel? But because you're professional, you do it.
Of course.
You may not like it, but you do it.
Yeah, I do it. And I make you look good in the process, because if we're going to do it, we do it right.
Exactly. You know, and I would make you look good in the process. I would be selling my ass off.
You would lay that brass knuckles into me.
That's right. But I would also sell my ass off for you for the majority of the match, proving why I needed to cheat to win.
Yep. And we say this every week. It really is the little things. It's, you know what it is? It's when you do a hold, locking that hold in and grinding your forearm in on the cover. You know what I'm saying?
You know, one thing I don't see anymore that I miss. I'm sure, and I know you've seen this, George, the headlock where you see the guy.
Where you grind your forearm into their ears. Yep.
Exactly. You don't see that anymore.
You know what I miss? On a cover where you press the guy and you grind your forearm into his nose on the press. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, some people do it, but not very often.
Randy Orton still does it, but I mean, that's that not a lot of people do that. I love that. You know,
subtle things.
Yep.
the little things. But you know, that's what there's a reason I sent you that link from that website, because it really puts into perspective what's happened to us. Okay.
I am sending you a link right now of Gerald Briscoe, of the Briscoe brothers from like
Yes.
the 80s, locking up, and you're gonna watch it and you're gonna love it.
Oh yeah, the old days of locking up.
Yep. Look at Gerald Briscoe, just
They
that
snatch
is
it.
a lockup.
Easy with the language, bro.
Yeah, that is a lockup.
Yep, you see it snatching but Briscoe, Jerry Briscoe was known as someone who would stretch the hell out of you if you made him angry.
But I mean, at the end of the day, he was a professional, right?
Yes, he was.
So, Beth Phoenix.
Yes.
What are your
The
thoughts
Glamazon.
on the Glamazon? What are your thoughts on Beth Phoenix?
Right person, wrong time.
Agreed. That is a very good way of putting it. If she came along today, if she was 5 years younger and started 5 years later in the Performance Center,
Oh, she would be in Rhonda's spot.
she would be a natural foil. She would not be in Ronda's spot. No. You're close. You're close. But if Beth Phoenix started in 2001. Okay. If she starts in 2006, she's 5 years younger. Works the indies, works Shimmer, whatever, women's promotions.
Yeah,
Joins NXT.
she was one of the first ones in Shimmer.
Yep. Joins NXT in 2012, let's say, right?
Right.
She's not taking Ronda's spot. She's taking Charlotte's spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like Charlotte. I know it's very in right now to hate Charlotte. I like Charlotte, but I love Beth Phoenix, and there's a difference there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Beth Phoenix was ahead of her time.
Ahead of her time, and more importantly, her time was behind her. And even though she tried with both hands to drag this company kicking and screaming to present women's wrestling as something legitimate, she was ahead of her time.
Exactly.
She was able to do it everywhere but here.
Yeah.
And hell, there's a table for three where she's on, and I think it's her, Natalia, and Nia Jax. And she is glowing about what's happening now. And Nia says, you two, she points to those two, she says, you two actually started it all.
She actually said those two made her
want to be a wrestler.
Made her what she is.
Agreed. And it's because they were different, and they were different than the normal pinups who were just there to be piss breaks.
Yep. Nia said outright those two made her what she is today. And she thanked both of them. Beth is an inspiration to a lot of women for any sport.
Agreed. She won a title. She won the women's championship
twice.
But her first one, she won right away. I mean, in 2007, she won that right away, held it for 6 months. And speaking of professional, she could be powerful. She could be feminine. She could be funny. She could be serious. Like, she was ahead of her time. Can you imagine her in the early era of NXT just throwing fools around until eventually, like, Becky Lynch beats her for the pop or something? Or Sasha Banks or whomever? Like, and her making them look great in the process?
Yes, that's the thing. That is... Beth Phoenix did that. Anyone who says she didn't isn't paying attention.
Yeah, she was a 3 times women champion, Plus, it once held the Divas Championship once.
Yeah, 3-time women's champion, held the Divas title once, held the Intercontinental Championship once, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
She also had, for the Far North Wrestling, she held a Cruiserweight Championship.
Yep. She competed in the Men's Royal Rumble. She was the second woman to do that and the first woman to compete in both the Men's and the Women's Royal Rumbles.
And now for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, she ranked number 2 of the top 50 female wrestlers in 2008 and 2012. She was ranked number 2 out of 50. She also held the Glory Championship, the Ohio Valley Wrestling Championship.
She's been a champion everywhere she's been.
And deserving too.
Well, look at this. Amateur wrestling. The Northeast Wrestling, she won the Women's Championship. New York State Fair, she won the Women's Championship. She's won a lot of championships. But to be ranked number 2 of the top 50 female wrestlers is a great accomplishment.
And that's not an easy list to get on.
No. And to be second on the list?
And that's going against, that's in the world. That's not just in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. That's in the world. And during the time that she was doing this, Joshi wrestling over in Japan was getting really, really big.
Yep. Well, hey, she also held Diva of the Year in 2008.
For WWE, yeah. So people don't see.
She has done a lot in the short time people see her on WWE since high school. She has worked her ass off. Done a lot. She did want to go to the Heart Dungeon, but because of where it was, because she was in New York, she went to a local. And the ones that trained her, those two, well, I think it was the Knights, they were trained. They trained at Stu Hart's Dungeon.
Yeah. Ron Hutchison, Joey Knight, and Robin Nightwing.
Yep.
That's a great name, Robin Nightwing.
And they
Nightwing, as in,
that's a great name, Robin Nightwing. I like that name.
Robin Nightwing and Joey Knight are the ones that she went to, and they were both trained at Stu's Dungeon.
Oh. Okay, here's something else about her, too. She was born in Elmira, New York. She's actually a Polak.
Okay.
Okay, Elizabeth. I hope I'm doing it.
I'm not even going
Kosinski. She won let's see. When she was 11 years old, she won a coloring contest with the prize of tickets for a television taping of WWF.
They start them young, right?
Yep, and that's she credits that with her as when she fell in love with professional wrestling.
She cites Bret Hart, Owen Hart, and Ted DiBiase as her favorite wrestlers.
Good inspirations.
Yep, because she attended Notre Dame High School in Elmira, where she played tennis and ran track. She was voted prom queen in her senior year. And she is also a graduate from Canisius College in Buffalo, New York, with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and public relations. Vince, why isn't she in management?
But
She's
she
smart.
also-
She's smart. She got out of the company.
Well, she went to Notre Dame High School. That's where she began wrestling.
Yeah.
In the Scholastic Wrestling team. She was the first female varsity wrestler
In the school's history. It's amazing. She has such a strong base. And now you understand why she was a champion everywhere she went.
And this is something her and Natalia got in common. They both wanted this since they were little. They have trained all their lives since they were young to become wrestlers. This is why they are so good. A lot of women wrestlers start out late in their career. These guys started while they were in junior high and high school. They started early to perfect.
Could you see Natalia as a 15, 16-year-old taking bumps in Stu Hart's dungeon in the ring in the backyard to learn how to
the backyard, the basement.
Yeah, they also had a ring in the backyard.
Yeah, with the low ceilings.
Yeah, but can you see her learning bumps there? I could.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is where Beth really wanted to go. And then I forgot which female wrestler it was when Beth went to wrestling school. Actually paid for her wrestling school.
Yeah.
Molly Holly actually paid for Beth to attend wrestling school.
That's right. That is right.
Molly Holly did that.
And she makes note of that on her Hall of Fame speech. She calls her out on it.
She thanks Molly for it. And what did Molly tell her? All Molly wanted her to do is put it forward to help somebody else do the same as she did. She didn't want to get paid back. She wanted it brought forward.
So
both these women were ahead of their times. I think that's a fitting assessment.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's
5 years too soon.
5 years too soon. But on the flip side, and you mentioned this earlier, that without them, who knows what we get? Without them paving the way, you know?
Yeah, they're the ones that came into the jungle, cut down the trees so we could level, bulldoze the road and grade it.
Yeah, exactly. They were the wrecking ball.
They laid the initial foundation. They drew up the plans. They were the architects. They drew up the plans for what it should be. Came in and started the work.
Well, hence
it took them what, 10 more years? It took WWE 10 more years before they finally realized that, hey, we've got something here.
Well, hence Beth's name, Glamazon. She was an Amazon, a glamorous Amazon of her time.
Yeah. She was the biggest woman on the roster, build-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, China was gone, and all we had were these stick figures in the wrestling ring that were having the pillow fight matches and the bra and panty matches and the, mud wrestling.
And then you got Beth that comes out as a warrior. She was a complete warrior. Even when she turned heel, watching her heel matches, the way her Natty did it, it's like, we're tired of this shit. They were doing what a lot of the men would do.
Yeah. They were doing men's moves on the women.
Yeah. And
it worked.
By raising the standards, they not only prepared the company for what good wrestling looks like, they prepared the audience for what good wrestling looks like.
For what could become. Yeah. And what did.
Yeah.
It's...
So when you look at the pioneers of wrestling, I actually look at these two as the pioneers of women wrestling, what it should be like.
Agreed.
Yep.
I think that's a fitting tribute.
I mean, they were a team as a tag team. They were a dominant tag team in a time when there really wasn't a tag team division. Now, rumors have it that there's going to be women's tag team belts, and they're going to go across all three brands, which would be fantastic in my personal opinion.
Absolutely.
Please, WWE, reunite the Divas of Doom just for that tournament.
Just don't make a joke out of it.
That's right. Don't make a joke out of it. Let them go out there and hoss fight with everybody. The current roster of women could keep up. I believe that.
Me, it's weird because we talked about favorite matches with Natty, and I had two. One was Natty against AJ Lee, because AJ Lee was her protege. With Beth Phoenix, mine was her and Kelly Kelly. But there's one.
That match was vicious.
There is one. Well, actually, the lumberjack match between her and Eve Torres was good. But the tag team match I like the best to be on Natty and Beth is tables, ladders, and chairs. What like cool. That was the best match for the Divas of Doom.
Yeah, it was.
When the table didn't break the first time.
And Natty,
when they tried to put the who was it they tried to put through? I want to say it was
Michelle McCool, wasn't it?
Michelle McCool, but through the table by herself, and it didn't break.
And then Natty went off the top.
And then they threw both of them up there. Natty got up on the top rope and did a plancha off the top rope onto both of them, and finally broke the table.
Yeah,
because that table was half broke when they broke it.
But that for the Divas of Doom was the best match ever.
You watched that match, did you not, George?
I did, and it was a lot of fun. In and out, 9 minutes. It was great.
In and out, 9 minutes of nonstop action.
Yep, they didn't screw around. They went from the minute the bell rang, they went right after him. It was a lot of fun.
And like I said, for Natty's match, the best one I liked was against AJ Lee, where she beat AJ, and then at the end of the match, turned around and beat the shit out of her. Was when she turned heel.
Yep, it became.
That's when she told Beth, "I'm with you, sister."
Yep.
And Beth, the best match I like.
That was the birth of Divas of Doom.
Yep, when she beat Kelly, and then afterwards beat the shit out of her. That was the best matches.
Who knew beating the shit out of someone would get them over? Oh, wait. Everybody. Right?
When they turned heel and said they're done with this diva shit, those were the best matches they had.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Well,
because it was a refreshing change of pace.
The best, another one that was good, it wasn't quite a match. It's when Beth came back and she came in and helped Trish Stratus and beat the shit out of Mickie James. And then the next week, Trish did her intro for Beth. And Beth turned around and beat the shit out of Mickie James again. That's when Beth first came back. That was good.
It's she both of them. We can't sing their praises enough. I could see them being together at this time, this era right now that we're in.
Oh, she'd fit right in like a glove.
Yep.
What Whether they
I agree with you, George. Beth Phoenix has one more good run in her.
I firmly believe it.
whether her and Natty are heels or faces, they could dominate right now.
She would slot into a high spot on the card because of who she is and what her pedigree is.
Yeah, and because she's still talented. I saw that Rumble. She was still over. She was still talented. It wasn't a gold watch Rumble run. Looking at you, Lita. You know, she could still go.
Yep.
She just thinks raising a family is more important, and God bless.
I'm sure if the money was right and the amount of days was right.
Oh, I'm sure. I agree.
And Adam Copeland, Edge, would say, "Babe, go have fun."
Absolutely.
Because you could see it when Beth Phoenix was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and she even said, "You never know, I just might come back." She wants to go back. She wants to be in the ring. She wants it.
But I don't think she wants it full time.
No.
No, full time is a brutal schedule.
Right. Especially after tonight. Raw has got the roughest 8 days ahead of them. Over 17,000-mile road trip.
Yep. Have fun.
In 8 days.
But if Beth comes back, what they need to do is let her and Natty do what they do naturally. Let them wrestle the way they know how. They could dominate. Like I said, whether they're a heel or a face, they would be great and they would dominate.
Ooh, I just had an interesting thought.
What's that?
The rumor about the women's tag team belts.
That's dangerous. You having a thought.
Okay. With women's evolution coming up, how awesome would it be that Beth Phoenix and Natalya get back together for the tournament going and make the finals against Sasha and Bayley,
and put them over like professionals,
and then those two put them over in the end,
and like professionals. The theme of this podcast.
You know, the Divas of Doom put over the Boston Hug Connection.
Yep.
You know, the older generation putting the newer generation over. Yeah. How beautiful would that be? How beautiful would that?
It would be beautiful.
It would be. It'd be absolutely beautiful. There would not be a dry eye in the house.
No, it would be poetic, and I would be a fan of that, my friend.
You never know. It just might happen.
It's wrestling, man. Nobody ever retires.
Nope. Look at Undertaker. Should have retired 3 years ago.
Yep.
He's getting back on the horse again.
But the thing is Beth Phoenix might have retired, but she's still signed on to WWE as a Legends.
Yeah. And part-time, doing the commentary for the Mae Young, you know?
Which I didn't like the way people were knocking her last year.
Well, she was also there for the mixed match challenge.
Yeah, that's what it was. People were knocking her for that because that was her first time behind the mic as a commentator. I can tell you, she was nervous as hell. You could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the only way you get better is by what?
Practice, reps,
repetition, reps. Just keep going. They say she's done a lot better this time around. Don't know yet because we all know it's been taped. We all know that the final is set. I also know who won the UK Women's Championship, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, George.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I promise you that. I know how you are about that. I don't want to lose your friendship. It's too.
I appreciate that.
It's too important to me.
And yours as well. And you too, Legends lover.
But that would be a poetic match to see those two go, let's say, 10, maybe 12 minutes?
12. No more than 12. In and out. In and out. We got to start breaking the trend of these long-ass matches, guys. If you could tell a story, you could tell a good story in like 18 minutes tops.
Well, if
Everything else is just filler.
If you get those two together and they wrestle the way we know they could, it'd be a squash match.
I say put those two together, like I said, against Boston Hug Connection. Tell them who goes over and say, okay, girls,
Have fun.
go book it yourselves.
Yep.
Just
Absolutely.
we're not gonna tell you what to do in the match. You guys go figure it out.
And if it's supposed to be Natty and Beth that win, it'll be a squash match.
I would say in a match like that for the very first a finals match for a very first title ever, if it does come to pass,
Yeah,
I say 20 minutes tops. Give them 20 minutes and let them go.
But as long as everybody performs and keeps it interesting in that 20 minutes. Some of the matches that have been going long
get boring.
Yeah, because they don't keep the momentum going.
I mean, prime example of a great short match that told a great story was Ronda versus Alexa. It was not even 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and it was
absolutely.
4 minutes and 30 seconds too long.
Guys, my second favorite match of the year last year was 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania 2017.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a quick match.
Nope.
Not everything needs to be Okada Omega. You know, like
not everything needs to be Flair Steamboat.
No, or Flair, or even Flair Sting for 45 minutes. Like
or Flair Steamboat going 90.
Yeah,
90 Broadway.
90 Broadway, and making you want more.
And a freaking house show with no cameras.
More and more. We need to start breaking we need to start breaking the trend of these long-ass matches that are long just for the hell of it. I got no problem if you want to tell me a good, long story. And you can do that, great. But a lot of these matches are just hit a big move and lay around for 3 minutes. Hit a big move, lay around for 3 minutes. No, I don't want that shit.
What I like are the good Iron Man matches that are constantly on the go, that keep you interested. If you can get a good Iron Man match.
I watched the Seth Rollins Dolph Ziggler Iron Man match. It was solid.
Problem with Iron Man matches is that everyone knows nothing matters till the last 3 minutes.
Unfortunately, yeah. Gone are the days of the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels 1 hour Iron Man.
That was a good match.
That went into overtime because it was tied.
Yeah, Bret got screwed. Champion's advantage. Bret got screwed. I'm going to take it to the end of my day, the end of my days.
Well,
Champion's advantage.
Seth Rollins got screwed.
Yeah, but that's, whatever.
But no, Bret's got screwed quite a bit.
Yep, Bret got screwed. But
Bret was a company man.
Yeah, you just say he was a professional.
Yes, he was.
You know what my favorite Bret story is? And we'll wrap up. Or not, I don't know. We got time. You know what my favorite Bret story is? Is the day of the screw job, right? Mm-hmm. Montreal, November 1997. He still was such a professional to a guy who was just a raging expletive to him.
Yeah.
That they put together a match, and at no point did Bret ever take any liberties with him.
No.
He could have potatoed him and
Sure.
and been in the clear. No, nobody would have said, "Oh, Bret, you shouldn't have done it." They would have said, "Shawn Michaels, you deserve that punch in the face." But Bret was a professional, and in the ring, your opponent's life is in your hands, and you treat that with the respect and the care that it deserves. And that legacy has carried on to both of our subjects tonight on this show.
Exactly.
Me, I consider Beth, even though she isn't, I consider her part of the Hart family because of the way she was trained.
Yes.
And the way she is. And when it comes to the Hart family, whether they're part of the family or extended, they all are professionals. They all deserve the respect and dignity they have because that's what they showed people.
The one thing I can say about Natalia and Brett and Owen and Anvil and Bruce and Davey Boy is they respected and still respect the business.
And that's something that's sorely lacking.
They respect and love the business with their entire being.
They gave their lives to this business.
Yeah. Look at Cesaro. Okay. It's like, I'm going to say this, ladies and gentlemen, and you can hang me from the nearest lamppost if you choose. Anybody that's been associated with a heart of any kind, either they be like Tyson Kidd, Natty Neidhart, Bret Hart, anybody, they've been associated with that family. Something from the family rubs off on them.
Well, look at Roddy Piper.
Yeah, it's not something from the family rubs off on them. It's integrity and it's professionalism that rubs off on them.
Yes, that's what I mean. They for some odd reason you put them with a heart, and they could be the worst character and the worst worker on the roster. Put them with a heart for 6 months, and suddenly they're 100% different. Why? Because they mentor everyone that they work with,
and
they always will.
The one thing Stu always did, not just taught them wrestling, but taught them the integrity and the respect for themselves and others.
Yep. They all have self-respect, and they have the utmost respect for their fellow wrestlers. And there isn't anybody in that family, even today, that doesn't have it.
There's too much integrity there.
That's the problem with the business today, George and LL. There is really no integrity left in the business amongst the wrestlers.
You can be a company person all you want. This is something I've seen. You can be a company person all you want, but if you don't have integrity and you don't have respect, it's not going to do you much good.
Would you agree with that?
You're not speaking any lies.
I'm preaching to the choir.
Hey, the only way to get them to sing is preach to the choir. So, you're not wrong, you two. It's why I love this show.
People.
And I think that's why the Hart family is always going to be on top for me.
It is a family that has overcome tragedy to triumph in the face of that.
Time and time again, they do.
Yep. I mean, Tyson Kidd's injury was a tragedy. Accident.
Yeah.
I don't think Joe set out to hurt him.
No, of course not. But that's wrestling, though, sometimes. Oh, no, of course it was an accident.
But like I said, that tag team of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, they were over. Fact. Remember that, George?
Yep. They were 100% over. To the fact. Yep. You're not wrong, my friend.
It's a fact. They were over. And what? Shit. This has turned into a love fest of the Hart family.
Yep. Hey, that's okay. You got anything else?
I pretty much got it covered. I mean, we got plugs, of course, but go ahead and plug yourself, George.
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Giatsavis, G-A-T-S-A-V as in Victor E-S. I podcast, in addition to this show, Thursdays at 9/8 Central. My show's Twitter feed is 2 Guys, 1 Sport, the number 2 and the number 1.
Which I was a guest on last week.
And you were quite good. Thank you very much, by the way. It's on short notice, too. Always appreciated.
I appreciated being asked or being told I was allowed. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, we let you out of your cage.
I didn't cut all the promos I wanted to cut on that show that night. I saved a lot of them for Saturday.
Hey, that's good. I'll be listening Saturday morning. I got to run a bunch of errands Saturday. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I'm getting a suit fitted Saturday morning. I'm gonna have my headphones on and I'm gonna listen to you while the tailor's doing whatever he does. You know.
Yep.
So
you're
my soundtrack Saturday morning, Takers.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's great. That's a great way to start your day.
No pressure.
I don't even know what we're talking about yet.
Hey, I'm sure it'll be damn good.
Because we're trying not to be WWE heavy anymore, if you've noticed.
I have, and I've appreciated it, but the problem is if you do a wrestling podcast, you almost have to talk WWE.
Yeah, but I mean, we were exclusive WWE back then.
Yeah, and I like that you guys are now diversifying.
Yeah, we talked about the G1. We talked about Wrestle Kingdom. We talked about sumo.
There's so much good wrestling out there that it's a shame not to cover as much of it as possible.
Well, I'm going to take a phrase. I'm going to take a statement here from Conrad Thompson when we had him on our show as a guest, a pre-recorded interview. In today's professional wrestling, it's not only WWE. If you don't like WWE, this is a great time to be a fan of wrestling. Because if you don't like WWE, there's something out there for you.
And it's never been easier to see good wrestling with all the streaming out there.
What I like to hear about and see, I want to start checking up, is the UK wrestling.
Yeah. It's something I need to watch more of too.
British strong style.
Because
that's actually a thing.
Because there seems to be a lot of good wrestlers coming from there.
Yes, there are. LL, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Windstorm64 and right here every Monday night on Connoisseurs.
And you can find me on Twitter at Takers_Minion. I've taken a hiatus from some of the threads on Kate's side. I probably will post from time to time, but other than that, you won't. I'm not going to be around for a while. I have some stuff I'm dealing with. You can always find me here on Monday nights at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and you can also catch me on Saturdays, as I mentioned, on Shootin Da Breeze with my co-host and crime partner, Mr. Dr. Senju, where we discuss the week that is wrestling, or the week that was wrestling. And that's every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Like George has said many times, get your breakfast, get your graps, and enjoy the day.
Great way to start your Saturday morning, guys. Cannot recommend your show highly enough.
Yep. I also recommend your show because it's one of the ones I do listen to at work. I make a point of listening to it. I have to. If I don't get it's like when you don't do a show, I start jonesing. Where's my two guys? Where's my two guys?
Thank you, sir. That means a lot. You are our spirit. You are our wrestling godfather in every way. So that means a lot, my friend.
I appreciate that compliment. We also have some K-side affiliate shows that we plug here on Connoisseurs of Wrestling. That we do the, we have the Bitter Boys Club. We have the Bros Before Elbows. Both of them are, those are K-side affiliated. K-side non-affiliated shows. Some of these shows are under the Los Ingobernables, their podcast banner. It's Shootin Da Breeze, which is one of them. Two guys, one sport, of course. We have Max Fixin with Don Sal Cusmano. And we have
Where is he at?
He's over on Cedar Bridge Media, Don Sal is. So check them out over at Cedar_Bridge on Twitter, and it's Cusmano_Sal.
Sal and I are doing a show Wednesday night, soccer and football. Football specific show.
Football and football. I'll have to see
Wednesday,
if I can catch that.
I don't know when it's being posted, but we're recording it Wednesday evening. It's funny. The first hour is soccer, and the second half of it is going to be my fantasy football draft. We're gonna do we're gonna do a little NFL, a little soccer, kind of bounce around, and we'll keep you check your local listings as to when it gets posted. But it'll be being recorded Wednesday nights.
Sounds like fun. We also had the Ruthless Aggression podcast with Metal Matt. That goes Fridays, I believe, at 8 Eastern. We have Ambrose Alley and Prince Moxley Lopez of the Violent Wrestling Podcast. They have a Twitch channel now, so check there and check your local listings here on Twitter or here on YouTube as to when they're on. Or also, AA has another show that she just recently started. It's called AA's Ramblings. It's a solo show. Check your local listings on that. And I think that about does it.
No,
No, what have I missed?
Conrad.
Ah, yes. We have 2 shows over on the Major League Wrestling Network. One is Something to Wrestle With. That's with Conrad Thompson and Bruce Pritchard. And What Happened When with Conrad Thompson and Tony Schiavone. And that'll be a wrap. George, you want to do the takeout?
A sincere thank you for listening. Great way to start your week. That's Legends Lover. That's Taker's Minion. I'm George, Curtain Jerker. You're listening to Connoisseurs of Wrestling. Good night, everybody. And don't forget, the past is the present.
Good night.